Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Corissa.
Perfect. And hey there, Corissa, how you doing? Busy day behind the scenes, but how you doing?
Not too bad. Also a little busy here. Just trying to get some yard work done, just more home improvement for the coronavirus, just getting it done.
Eventually everyone's just going to be living in fabulous mansions, and then, boy, we will be in trouble because there will be no more home improvement left. We'll just all have to stare at the wall. But everyone, so welcome into the Computer America Show. I'm sorry?
I was going to say it'll be a nice wall.
Absolutely. It'll be beautifully painted. Now, everyone, computeramerica.com, that's where you find everything, including show notes, today's topics, past shows, future shows, podcasts, articles, reviews, social media links, and more. You can find that all at computeramerica.com. Definitely recommend you check that out. And hey, that's going to be super helpful today because today on the program, we have computer and technology news for the entirety of the show. But it's going to be fun because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. And primarily, the big one, if you missed it, then we'll be sure to go over all the details with you. But today was the announcement for the next generation of Nvidia graphics cards. Yep, the RTX 3080 as well as the 3090 and the 3070 as well. A lot of improvements, and we're going to talk about what makes each one better than the previous generation. And ladies and gentlemen, this thing is just... I've been holding off on, upgrading my computer for the past, mainly like 5 years. Like I've done, like a new CPU and stuff like that. Or let's see, I did a new CPU, a new SSD, and a new motherboard, and that's about it. So I think this time around, I'm going to get a whole new computer. It's going to be fantastic because, hey, Nvidia and their new graphics cards are probably going to be in it. So again, we'll be talking about what they unveiled today. So all that and more here on the show. And I think before we get into computer and technology news, Corissa, anything else to announce?
Nope, I'm ready.
Perfect. So everyone, here we go. Computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of different topics that we could start with. I think, obviously, the first one we're going to do is this article from The Verge, and it's about the one, the only, it's going to be about the RTX 3080, again, the next generation, and I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Corissa real quick. There you go. And yeah, it's pretty amazing what they did. I think a lot of people were caught off guard by the price primarily, and the performance is nothing to sneeze at either. So check this one out here. Tom Warren, and yeah, ooze indeed. If you're watching the video portion, you can of course see it right there. It's pretty snazzy looking. And let's see,
That's a great price too.
What's that?
That's a pretty good price too, I feel like.
$699 for those of you who don't know. This is the title of the article. Nvidia announces a new RTX, and by the way, they have like a 2-minute trailer here that we're going to play in the background. But anyways, it's the new RTX 3080 GPU priced at $699, just under $700, and launching September 17th. So you don't even have to wait that long. It's going to be very, very soon. I think pre-orders start in 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, and then they are officially on sale for 2 days after that. So Nvidia unveiled its GeForce RTX 3000 series of cards today. Nvidia have been teasing new cards for weeks, and there were plenty of leaks, which we covered a little bit on the show, but now we have the official, and what they actually have. Hey, this is going to be great. And Corissa, I don't believe that you saw the presentation that the CEO of the company did, but it was pretty funny. It was, and by funny, I mean clever. He had done other presentations because of COVID, obviously. They couldn't, do a big press conference with, big auditorium and everyone's, kind of everyone in the seats. So instead, they went to the CEO's kitchen, beautiful kitchen, Tuscan style, marble everywhere, kind of marble facades, beautiful kitchen. But that's not why it was funny. Corissa, it was funny because as he was kind of going through the presentation and he got to the next graphics card, and of course, the primary one being the RTX 3080, the camera would kind of pan a little bit and zoom in, and he had like the container that you hold all of your cooking utensils, your mixing stuff and your spoons and whatnot. He just had the graphics card right there, just barely visible, almost like an Easter egg, and he just kind of reached behind his spoons and pulled out the 3080 graphics card. It was pretty cute. And then when it came time for the RTX 3090, which is the graphics card just above that one, he turned around and he was standing right in front of his oven, and he opened up the oven and he had the 3090 sitting in the oven. Not on, obviously, but, just a way to store it and a way to, kind of quickly grab it. It was very endearing, and, it was a great way to kind of announce it. But otherwise, let's go ahead and talk hardware real quick. So obviously the RTX 3080, this is the second generation of ray tracing. And Corissa, real quick, do you know what ray tracing is before we get into this?
I have no idea.
Perfect. Okay, so for everyone out there, just like Corissa, who has no idea what RTX designates and what ray tracing is, ray tracing has been around for a long time, as long as CGI has been in. Corissa, imagine... let's see, how do I put this? Imagine like a source of light, a light bulb, the sun, whatever, and then when it shoots rays off of that light source and it hits an object, be it a ball, be it a wall, glass, a reflection, whatever, any way that light would normally behave in the real world, ray tracing is that process of putting it in a video game, is that you get the light source and how it shines on all the different materials, all the different surfaces. This has been done in movies. This is how you kind of make something digital look real. It's a big step forward. Kind of. Shading can happen independently of a light source, but this is directly related to the light source and the light's interaction with other objects.
Interesting.
Gotcha. So that's ray tracing, real-time ray tracing, which is what Nvidia has been pushing. And again, what RTX kind of designates is that these cards, not that real-time ray tracing hasn't been a thing, it has for the longest time. I mean, Corissa, this is why, a long time ago, like we had kind of basic stuff and, basic real-time ray tracing, but it's why you can have like, let's say, Master Chief and his golden visor when you play the Halo series. That's why in like Halo 1 and 2, you look into his visor, and even though it was reflective, you wouldn't see yourself, you wouldn't see anything else inside the visor. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't reflect what was in front of it. And then somewhere around like Halo 3 or Halo Reach or something like that, you could start to see crude, rudimentary shapes moving in the reflections. You had basic reflections. Corissa, you're a fan of the Fallout series. I think it was pretty cool that in Fallout 4, I think was one of the first ones, where they had like a mirror and you could actually see yourself in the mirror instead of the mirror just being, kind of a mirror on the wall with no reflections whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely added that to 4 and even 76 in some instances, but that's not really a fair comparison because it's essentially 4 a different setting. But The Sims also does a similar thing. If you adjust the settings properly, you can see them in the mirrors and all of that stuff. And there's a lot of lighting effects and water effects and stuff like that too.
And then and then if you turn the graphics all the way down, you'll stop getting reflections. There will stop being things in the mirror.
Right.
It's very graphic intensive, which again the RTX 2000 series, which just came out a year and a half ago, they were kind of optimized for this type of processing, and that's why it was such a revolutionary thing. In that, again, we've had kind of crude versions of real-time ray tracing, but these cards, Nvidia said this was the next. This was the gateway to the next iteration of graphics, that things look like they do in real life. It really almost turns regular gameplay into almost cinematic quality video. So that's real-time ray tracing. The 2000 series did pretty darn good. The 3000 series, they're promising even more improvements. So, and we're going to talk about some of those improvements here. But really, it's super impressive. So again, the reason I went through all that was an introduction to real-time ray tracing. It's been happening, but now we're just getting to the point where it's really starting to look good. And I think, let's see, and I'm going to look something up just real quick. Let's see, examples. And in the background, if you're watching the video portion, we're going to have some of the videos that they showed at the event today. And let's see. So, okay, yeah, you know what? I'll find all those in a second. But a lot of the next generation of games are going, and this is the other part of it, games have to be optimized for this. Games have to have this technology built in through the engine to kind of implement them, and a lot of them are going to have that. So with that being said, Nvidia is promising big performance with the RTX 3080. And actually, if we just go to nvidia.com, we can even just kind of throw that up there. Yeah, so again, the 3000 series. Okay,
here I am wondering if you're going to adapt that to like the PlayStation or the Xbox.
I believe the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X, not the lower versions, but the higher end versions that they're going to announce, or I'm sorry, that they're going to bring out, have both said they will have ray tracing as a feature. So not to the extent because an Xbox or PlayStation will cost you maybe $400 at launch. And I know that we just talked about $700 for the 3080. The 3090, which is like the cream of the crop, the best of the graphics card that you can currently get, is going to be on sale for $1,500. So, yeah, so a $1,500 graphics card alone is going to have much more performance than a $400 console. But there will be some examples of ray tracing. PlayStation has already showed that with, let's say, the new Ratchet & Clank. That was one of their favorite ones to show ray tracing. So, yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the hardware. The 3080, up to 2 times that, up to 2 times the performance of the 2080 of this generation, and faster than RTX 2080 Ti cards. So, Corissa, the 2080 Ti is kind of comparable. The 2080 Ti is to the 2080 as the 3090 is to the 3080. It's the massive step up, you know what I mean? And the next generation 3080 cards are going to be faster than the 2080 Ti cards, which is pretty impressive because just one generation ago, the 2080 Ti cards were $1,300. And now, in about 2 weeks, you'll be able to buy a $700 card that is better than what used to cost you $1,300 just a year ago.
Right.
It is very, very impressive what they're able to do with that. So with that being said, And I'm sorry, but right here, let's go ahead and do this one. So these are some examples that they gave of RTX being on, and you can, if you're watching the video portion, you can kind of see the ambient light, the reflections, and stuff like that. It's going to be very, very cool. So again, back to the hardware. The card will ship with 10 gigs of GDDR6X memory, and by the way, they did massive improvements to the onboard memory, so you're going to see very big improvements through that. Priced at $700, shipped September 17th. As we said, there will be 8,000 CUDA cores in the RTX 3080 combined with a 1.71 gigahertz boosted clock speed. It's very, very powerful. So let's see. They said a big part of this, though, was the thermal design. I'm actually kind of concerned about the thermal design. It's going to be very interesting because what they kind of described is any other graphics card that you're kind of used to, it will have lots of cool games. But yeah, any other graphics cards that you're used to, it will have one or two fans seated on the graphics card, and it will kind of suck air in and blow it over the card so that it can maintain its temperature. This one's a little bit different because it's almost like a little chamber that the case makes. And of course, there's plenty of heat sinks, but the fans, there's two of them, and they're set up where one is an intake and the other one is blowing air out. And so that means that there's almost like this channeling effect where the air is going to be obviously not just forced onto the graphics card, but forced away from the graphics card as well. And they said that that can lead up to, I think they said like a 55% improvement in airflow, which means that your graphics card will run 20 degrees cooler or 30 degrees cooler, depending on which version you get. And it will be 3 to 4 times quieter than past graphics cards, because Corissa, if you've ever really booted up an intensive game, you can hear those graphics cards really start to rev up.
Oh yeah, they get super loud. But I'm also kind of wondering what that's going to do to the rest of the internal bits of the computer. Is that going to be pushing hot air into the rest of your stuff, and is that going to overheat it?
They had a diagram, and the way that it's set up, because most cases you have that external fan directly above that compartment where where you kind of seat everything, and it should force it directly up to the case fan that blows air away from the case. So hopefully most cases should be ideal for this. The only thing I'm kind of questioning is because not many, this seems like, kind of like an edge case, but people get very passionate about their hardware. If you have two of these things, there's an intake and an output, and I'm wondering if you have two of them kind of stacked right on top of each other, does that mean that one of them is going to be forcing its hot air into the one directly above it? That part, I don't know, but it's something you never really had to consider before.
That's an impressive idea, is having two of them next to each other. That's something.
Well, yeah, and it seems so simple, and yet not, kind of no one's done it, because there have been two fans on it before, but both of them are intakes. Both of them are just trying to get air to the graphics card, and you never really, you kind of let the case and the case fans and the case airflow handle how to get the air out of there. So this was very, very interesting, and again, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, there's the whole fan thing. Nvidia is using a new 12-pin connector on its RTX 3000 cards, which is smaller than using two traditional 8-pin connectors. The company will include an adapter that's compatible with 8-pin cables and with its Founders Edition cards. And by the way, so those of you who don't know, on the side of the graphics card, you have to have these cables that plug into your motherboard and kind of transmit the data. And graphics cards up until this point, they've been getting bigger and bigger, and you've been having to use either a 6 and an 8 or 2 6s or 2 8s. These pin combinations, and they hurt your fingers. It's very inconvenient. So they've come out with a new 12-pin connector that should just be one cord, plug it in, you're good to go. That's hopefully the idea. Yeah. So along with that, Nvidia also launched the cheaper RTX 3070 card, which will be $500, and still the RTX 3070, which again is the slightly cheaper one. Let's see if we go back to this article here and we check out this performance here, it's really impressive where that's just the 3080. Anyways, the 3070 landed somewhere kind of up here just above the old 2080 Supers. It's going to be a great upgrade path this year around, and it will cost a lot less. So the performance bumps will also put the 3070 just above, or I'm sorry, comfortably above the 2080 Ti and 2080 cards for 1440p gaming. This RTX 3070 card will also use a similar coding solution as the 3080, so there will be kind of innate benefits as well. Now, of course, there's the RTX 3090, which was just briefly mentioned, but it's pretty darn cool. This is the flagship model, and if you can see the video portion, you can see it here where the CEO is kind of holding it.
So big.
It's massive. You could kill someone with this thing if you really needed to. You can hit them over the head with this thing. It is massive. It is beautiful. Oh my God, I want two of them. This one again is the 1500 card, and it's just everything better than the 3080. So with that being said, it's over 10,000 CUDA cores. You're looking at 1.7 gigahertz clock speed and 24 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. And again, the memory was completely redesigned. And by the way, they're labeling this thing the Big Ferocious GPU, or the BF GPU. Instead of the BFG, the BF GPU. So the card will occupy 3 slots and include a silencer to make it up to 10 times quieter than the existing Titan RTX cards. Corissa, this thing's going to have 3, and you know, this really goes to show just how big it is. In the back of most cases, you put in a graphics card and it will take up 1 slot. This thing will take up 3 slots. Like in some cases, that's the entire computer for some people.
Yeah. You're going to need an entirely new case, an entirely new way to organize the rest of the guts.
If you tried to put 2 of these in, absolutely. This thing's incredible. And also it will require a 750 watt power supply, so odds are you're going to need an additional power supply as well. So with that being said, the RTX 3090 clearly promises big power, and it's also huge in physical dimensions, which I am perfectly okay with because this thing is 300 millimeters long and almost 300 millimeters in height. And I'm sorry, not in height. It's only about 100 or like 70 millimeters, but still, this thing is long. Like, you might have to get a new case just because you physically cannot fit this thing inside of it. Yeah, and Corissa, if you didn't know, they said that this is the first card capable of doing 8K 60 FPS gaming. I know that you've been asking about that.
What do you do with 8K gaming? Like, what do you do with that?
I would assume play on an 8K monitor that no one has.
That?
What's that?
Right. I was like, can your eyes even recognize that? Like the difference between 4K and 8K?
There are, well, and that's the thing about 8K, and you know, before people get sucked into the 4K versus 8K debate, it's more of like 8K is, Corissa, like let's say you wanted to play on a movie theater screen. Because everyone has access to one of those. That's where 8K gaming is really going to shine, on something the size of like a movie theater.
Gotcha.
4K just won't look as good on that format. But I think for a monitor that is sitting 18 to 24 inches away from you, probably not. You probably won't notice that much of a difference between 8K and 4K, except everything is very much smaller because everything is scaled down, or I should say up. So there you go.
Use a projector too, then, so that way you can use your projector and just make a massive screen on your wall, and then cook your computer up to it and play the game.
That is definitely a use case. And hey, if you have access to a $1,500 graphics card, might want to invest in a good projector as well. So there you go. That's about everything. I highly recommend everyone go out to the Nvidia website and check out some of the some of the videos that they had put out. They put out new videos of, like, let's say the new Call of Duty. They put out a new video of Cyberpunk 2077. Chris, have you been following the Cyberpunk hype?
I haven't, but it's right up my alley, so I'm really interested to see kind of what they do with that, and I need to just do a little bit more reading on it. But it's like almost like Fallout, but it looks like it's a little more obviously cyberpunk rather than post-apocalyptic. But
Right, it
kind of
very much cyberpunk. I mean, it's in the title. And by the way, Carissa, if you can see my video portion, anyone out there, I just want you to kind of take notice of the video that we're playing and notice ray tracing there, all the ambient light, all the lasers, how it's reflecting off their clothes, things like that, and kind of reflections through puddles. This is what's going to make graphics look better. It's not going to be 8K. It's not going to be anything else. It's going to be kind of real-time ray tracing and making every single kind of day-to-day play moment look like a cinematic. It's just really honestly beautiful how they're able to do this. So
absolutely.
So, with that being said, enough hype. I can't wait for it. Again, you got to wait till September, September 17th, I believe, was the date. And yeah, you can find more of it there. So, Carissa, you sent over a number of stories. Again, we're continuing on with computer and technology news. You sent over a number of stories. Which did any one of these kind of catch your attention, or should I do out of a hat random?
So you can do an out of a hat random one.
All right, we can definitely do that. Okay. I find this one interesting. What's that?
There's one here for Asus.
Yeah. The Republic of Gaming. So for those of you who don't know, and this is something that I have barely kind of poked my nose into, but with the new generation of graphics cards, what happens is that Nvidia will sell these cards wholesale to Asus. They'll sell them to anyone else that wants to, a Republic of Gaming company, anyone who wants to make their own graphics cards, where they can do anything they want with them. They can put them into different cases. They can add more cooling. They can, in this case, add a Wi-Fi 6E router, so some of the latest networking capabilities. Essentially, companies are going to start buying these cards and then modifying them to have even more power and maybe overclocking them, liquid cooling them, things like that. And that's why in some instances you can see graphics cards being $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for the exact same card, is because they're almost modified after the fact. And this seems to be one of those cases. What was that?
I said that's interesting.
Yeah,
I hadn't considered that companies were doing that.
Yeah, it's not just from Nvidia. Nvidia will sell them to anyone, and then again, of course, they can modify them. It's something that I think only really enthusiasts kind of follow up on. But if you're looking for a card that goes even beyond what Nvidia kind of sells, that's where these third-party companies can really, kind of shine. And again, this article that you found, which we'll include in the show notes, but essentially they're able to add. It looks like they added another fan, and on top of that, they added a wired connection for networking and things like that. So this one, I would guess. Would probably cost, if the original cost about $1,500, this would probably cost somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1,800 to $2,000 for this branded card. I've seen some of the modifications simply that they put in water cooling and they take two of them and almost like glue them together. Like that's the extent of the modification, and they just double the price. So there's a need for this kind of service. I've never, again, really explored it, but I understand why people do it. It's that tinkering mentality. So there you go. This next one I find interesting because it really lets you know that we're in the future. And you found this over at CNET. Check this one out. Joe Biden launches digital campaign yard signs. And here's the thing. That's as far as I read. I didn't read any further. I was like, digital yard signs. Wow, technology's getting so cheap that people can put little, kind of things in their yard. But now I finally read the rest of the headline for Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing, yeah, one of the most, if not the best-selling game of 2020, and obviously people check in every single day. They do tasks, they do a lot of kind of daily routines, and then of course they modify their island, and hey, looks like, Corissa, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hoping that this is kind of like an optional thing that you can do if you would like to put it on your island.
Correct. So it's my understanding is how these things kind of work is usually there's a photo up at the top. You're missing the photo. It's the best part. It's a little picture of the little Animal Crossing Joe Biden.
Yeah, I am missing that.
Yeah. So essentially you go to the clothing shop. Exactly, those little QR codes there. And you can download those little things and then put them around your island. So you can either put them on clothes generally or little floor tiles. But in this instance, they're just yard signs.
I gotcha. So, and it's very interesting that a presidential campaign that I would say by and large, politics really doesn't try to mix with video games, because I think traditionally video games have been associated with kids, whether they're right or they're wrong. I think kids are generally associated with video games. It's not the voting demographic that you're trying to get. It's not really something that any campaign before has really attempted. I mean, it was just like 2008 and 2012 that President Obama was praised for his use of social media and how he was able to get out the younger vote and the minority vote and so much more by really using social media to its really nth degree. And I think that those campaigns changed voting forever, because now I can't imagine a presidential campaign that didn't heavily utilize social media. And it looks like this seems to be a little extension of that, because it's not just social media, but it's social aspects of video games.
It's absolutely true. And the thing is, too, is it's like, yeah, it's for kids, but guess what? The kids are all grown up and they're voting now. So, I mean, you got to get in where they're hanging out. And then, okay, oh, I'm in the shop. Oh, here's a little Biden thing. It's just another way to kind of catch people who might not be paying attention in the right spots, like social media or things like that, I think.
So, and Corissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was already possible. Like, you can create your own yard signs, you can, do your own artwork. You could have done this already if you wanted, this logo or something similar to this logo. But what's different is that the Biden and Harris campaign, they put this out themselves and they're promoting it themselves. Like, that's the difference. This was already possible. It's just now it's branded and associated with their campaign. Right. So yeah, it didn't take too much. I'm sure that there is a lot of promotion going on here, but maybe this is a taste of things to come, where maybe the next maybe Cyberpunk 2077 in the next 4 years, there's going to be a some kind of like help the new president or get into office or something like that, and there's going to be like a mission where you get someone elected. I don't know. It leads to a lot more possibilities. I can't even imagine the crossovers that could happen when political activism tries to come to video games. But
right, I don't know how I feel about it, but I appreciate the
nothing
attempt.
Is sacred.
Yeah, and I also want to know what this guy's island looks like, because I don't feel like he would have a great one at all. And I just really want to know what kind of flowers he has and how he has it organized.
By him, do you mean Joe Biden?
Yes.
I betting
want to see Biden's island.
Biden Island. That's a good one for it. I'm betting it's. I don't know if there's gray. I don't know if there's gray flowers with gray houses and gray wallpaper and gray bedding, but it's probably gonna be something. Or even whatever is like the wooden shack that you start with. That might actually be much more accurate. So there you go. That's what I'm picturing. So there you go. Like I said before, nothing is sacred, and hey, political advertising. Money talks, and there you go. So there's that one. You have a couple more. I wanted to get into boy, there's a lot of controversy going on with social media. We have, or not even social media, but really with a lot of companies. Let's do some controversial stuff, Corissa, because I want to hear your opinion. I love it when you don't like things, and I think you're not going to like this all the most. So check out this one. This is about Amazon. And well, no. I'm sorry. We'll cover this one, but this is not the one I wanted. I wanted this Amazon story. I'm sorry. That was two different Amazon stories. This Amazon story and here we go. Amazon uses worker surveillance to boost productivity, which should not come as a surprise after we heard about Amazon, kind of tracking people to the nth degree to, you get like a 10-minute break and then you're back on the line. They know if you sit down and you're not allowed to sit down during your shift, and they use cameras and facial recognition to track when people come in and leave. Like they are they're very demanding on their employees, and they use technology to kind of, I don't even want to say motivate, but almost like surveillance, to really make sure that it happens. Very, very strict. Now, they're using worker surveillance to boost performance and stop staff joining unions. So union busting is something that is illegal. You are not allowed to, as a company, stop your employees from joining a union. But whenever a company such as, let's say, Walmart has been known to, in particular, to shut down entire chains if the workers start to seriously implement unions. They will shut down the whole thing, fire everyone, and get the heck out of there because they don't want to work with any kind of union. And of course, this gets into a whole discussion of workers' rights that I am just, that's probably more my brother's area of expertise. But I just got to say that unions in general, they scare companies. And Amazon, being the mammoth of a company that it is, they hate it all the more. So check this one out. They said that the group claims Amazon uses these tools to influence where it stations its employees in an effort to undermine potential unionization efforts. So this is the group that is suing Amazon. And by the way, they're using, they utilize navigation software, item scanners, wristbands, thermal cameras, security cameras, and recorded footage to keep its store and warehouse workers under close watch. Corissa, as soon as you walk into an Amazon facility, you're given a wristband, you are scanned your face, they know everything about you, and they know exactly where you go at all times. They know this.
Sounds terrible.
Absolutely.
And, they're not trusting their workers enough, and I feel like they would be more productive if they were trusted more.
Well, hey, they're going to try the opposite, where they surveil them even harder. So, in one example, just to give you an example how this actually works, Amazon reportedly used heat maps and data detailing employees' attitudes towards the company, as well as a diversity index to help determine which stores are more likely to face unionization attempts. Think about that. Diversity index and employee attitude to determine they are more likely to unionize than another company. Like, they hate this with a passion. So they said if it's likely a store's employees will attempt, then they will be separated according to the report. It's almost like being a teacher and seeing there's a group of kids in the back and you know that, they're not going to pay attention, so you kind of split them up. Except instead of kids who have no choice but to be there and learn, they're full-grown adults who are free-thinking employees and
just want some more money and healthcare.
Just want to form a union. But again, that's not in the cards for Amazon. That's definitely something that they don't want to do. So, with that being said, during the early stages of the coronavirus pandemic in the US, Amazon employees complained that their colleagues were getting infected with the virus as a result of the company not sending its workers home. Some workers opted to walk off the job in protest, but I think, as we know, Amazon, they weren't stopping for anything. They have benefited massively from the coronavirus in a way that everyone wants to stay home and have things delivered to them. And Amazon was there to kind of step up to the plate and deliver everything to our home. It's unfortunate that the people got sick and had to work in these facilities. I think they said that they implemented like $2 billion worth of sanitation procedure and PPE and stuff like that, but still people were put in harm's way to make sure that Amazon could fulfill all of its orders. So let's go ahead and continue talking here. And I think that there was a job listing and this doesn't seem to be included in the article, or I can't seem to find it, but there was a job listing of an information analyst whose sole duty would be to go through this data, all the data that is collected on their employees that work for them as they work for them, and shut down this union, kind of mentality, and make sure that people would, kind of work more efficiently. Like, they're even hiring data scientists to squeeze every drop of productivity out of its workers. It's, again, it's treating employees and people like they're parts of a machine. And don't get me wrong, a company like Amazon is definitely going to do that because they're so big, and they can't have that one-on-one moment with every single employee. But it's very dehumanizing what Amazon does to its employees.
And it's also like just another push to actually just get robots in there. Like, if you're going to treat people like that, just get the robot thing going. Leave these people alone. Like,
most Amazon facilities already use robots. That they use robot pickers and things like that. But for now, humans are better pickers than robots. Although they are improving that, and Corissa, your wish will come true, where hey, Amazon will be run mostly by robots. So that's coming. That's coming. So there's that one. There was that article, and then the other article with social media. It had to do with Facebook, and this article. Russians are trying to meddle in our elections.
Who knew? What a surprise. Oh my gosh.
And they're using technology to do it. So that's why it falls under our purview. This is not a political thing. This is simply a cybersecurity issue, and the fact that, Russians aren't even, kind of hacking. They aren't doing anything super spooky or scary or things like that. The Russians are simply using American social media the way it was designed. If you want to get a message out there, you give these companies a certain amount of money, and they will show it to a certain amount of people. And they will show it to people who are more receptive to this message. Works very efficiently for propaganda. If you want to get your propaganda out there and you want to get it to the people who will actually believe the propaganda, Facebook, Twitter, Google, other ad services, man, they have the perfect system in place to make sure that your propaganda goes as far as it can with the little money that you put into it. So, with that being said, this is another example of that's happening today. This is a report out by CNBC saying that Russian internet trolls hired U.S. journalists to push their news website, Facebook says. This time, hey, Facebook is calling out journalists instead of the other way around. But some of Russia's most infamous internet trolls have launched a news website that hired real-life journalism freelancers, including Americans, to contribute. As someone who runs a news website, we put up articles, we put up reviews and things like that. Computer America is approached all the time with people who want to submit articles on kind of for us. And by the way, just so everyone knows, anything posted on Computer America is written by someone who works for Computer America. We don't accept any of these third-party articles and things like that. So, but anyways, if we get them, and we get them very regularly, then you can be sure that a larger organization is definitely going to kind of pick that low-hanging fruit. Pay a journalist $100 and they'll write you a well-researched and crafted article. So
that sounds like it's a bigger issue with journalists, though, because isn't there like a code where it's like, the whole truth, nothing but the truth kind of situation? But I guess, maybe if there's enough money involved, certain journalists would deviate a little bit or, feed into that kind of propaganda effort, maybe. Journalism has a code of ethics, and there's a lot of, how do I put this? There's the journalism code of ethics that's been around for a long time, pretty much because journalism used to imply either radio broadcasts or
news articles and newspapers and things like that exclusively. Now, with the advent of social media, you have people writing articles and writing op-eds that traditionally would have had to go through like editors and things like that. But now you can be a journalist and you can be a citizen journalist with little to no oversight. And you can write whatever you want. No one will ever fact check you. And you can put out the most incorrect, weird stuff that you want. So, yeah, it's there is a code of ethics, and if you go to journalism school and you learn how to be a journalist, there's fact checking, background checks, there's ways that you can vet sources and things like that. But hey, let's face it, most journalists do not go through that type of training. It just kind of happens. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This article in particular, they're saying that, let's see, here we go. Some of Russia's most infamous internet trolls have launched a news website, and they have hired real-life journalism freelancers to contribute to the website. And by the way, the website, just so you know, this is a Russian troll site, Peace Data. Peace Data. If you've never heard of it, lucky you. It was launched this year with coverage focused largely on the environment and corporate and political corruption. Facebook learned through a tip from the FBI that people formerly associated with the Internet Research Agency, the IRA, which included a number of influential Twitter and Facebook personas, there you go, to inflame political tensions in the 2016 election. It had yet to gain a serious following, the company's head of cybersecurity policy. And here we go. This quote here from the head of the cybersecurity policy saying, "It confirms what we've thought about this all along. Russian actors are trying to target the 2020 elections and public debate in the US, and they're trying to be creative about it." So obviously this is a part where Corissa, you weren't on the show during the 2016 election, but what we determined here on the show through all of the different reporting that was coming out, Russia doesn't really care to only push, pro-Trump, or let's see, 2016, that was pro-Hillary Clinton or anti-Hillary Clinton. There were reports that they were helping Trump more than the other, but they simply wanted to foster chaotic conversation. They would take both sides, these Russian bots and these Russian trolls, they would take both sides of an argument and they would try to inflame the left or the right, whatever you want, try to get the rhetoric turned up to 11, get everyone kind of hating each other and riling everyone up, and then they would just kind of let people in their imagination run wild. They didn't care that it was only Republicans getting mad or only Democrats getting mad or whatever. The Russians simply cared that the political conversation in the United States turned toxic. That was exactly the goal of the Russians.
Yeah, it's just destabilization is all it is. They don't care which way it goes, where it comes from. As long as something's like on its last leg, that's enough. Because it causes things to be eyes to be directed to a different spot, whereas you can come through the back side. If you're not looking, if nobody's looking, if they're focusing on something else, then it gives them an easier time to do whatever it is they're doing.
Right. And of course, chaos is the best result for these trolls. So let's go ahead and talk about what's been happening today. Facebook's role in tying the site to the IRA, whose leader had close ties with the Russian president. It ran unchecked on Facebook and Twitter ahead of the 2016 election. And it illustrates one of the ways that the U.S. government is trying to battle the foreign influence right now, because now they've alerted Facebook about this. So with that being said, the FBI also provided Facebook with a tip on IRA Instagram accounts and Facebook pages in 2018, which it took down. In an August op-ed, a leader for the National Security Agency and Cyber Command, the government's two most elite agencies in cyberspace, wrote that it was those agencies that had shared threat indicators with the FBI and bolstered the organization's effort to counter foreign trolls on social media platforms. And by the way, they hired freelance journalists, and they said that they called writers for the following topics. This is what they hired: anti-war, corruption, abuse of power, human rights violations, and such. And while some of the freelance journalists are real reporters, some of its editors were personas whose profile pictures were deepfakes or automatically generated. I think, Corissa, we covered that one. We covered that one a little bit ago with Scott Schober, how Russian trolls were using, Chinese trolls were using automatically generated images that would never show up anywhere else but are procedurally generated and look like real people. So it looks like that's going to be kind of the new normal for fake accounts, is those images.
I agree.
So, yep, that seemed to, kind of be a new example. And they said that from a detection and attribution standpoint, when it's clearly a real person writing this content and presumably also amplifying that content, it's harder to identify as an influence operation. It allows you to produce content that is more credible. And I guess that's the point, is that these sites, the goal is that, if you had a website that was just full of, they're holding children hostage in pizza parlors, and that was about the extent of your articles on your website, it would be pretty easy to spot either through through government campaigns or through social media or even just individual people. But instead, if it was a fully fleshed out website with articles spanning a number of different topics, hey, it looks real because it is real, especially when it's written by real people. But you can still push an agenda, you can still push lies, and that seems to be it. How do we kind of camouflage the lies to make them more believable? And
they do need to kind of cater those to the specific, like once they figure out where the weak group is, the one that they're trying to target, they can then kind of narrow that down even more to be very specific to, the left or the right or the what have you. So that's
Absolutely.
probably also what the website's doing.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead, move on from that one, and go into this next one. This came out a little bit ago. Well, details about this are still coming out, but check this one out. And let's see. I think the reason why I'm not getting this is because I have large media elements. There we go. CNET is one of the sites that they do good reporting and they do good work, but man, are they so intrusive with video ads and video play things that,
the worst.
Yeah, CNET, they're really milking those advertising dollars. But regardless, here we go. This article from CNET. Walmart Plus takes on Amazon Prime with a $98 a year membership fee. That's right, one of the largest retailers that is already super, super popular. Hey, they're finally trying to take Amazon on at their own game, because let's face it, Amazon makes the majority of its money. Well, honestly, they make the majority of their money through data services like hosting and web hosting and web services and things like that. But they also make a good chunk of money strictly through Amazon Prime memberships, which have a ton of perks. There's a ton of benefits that you get by being an Amazon Prime member. And being an Amazon Prime member, Walmart is trying to get in on the exact same thing. So Walmart has seen its e-commerce business grow enormously during the coronavirus pandemic, as millions of people have avoided venturing into stores, obviously. On Monday, so this just yesterday, Walmart said it's building out its e-commerce membership program, which it will compete with Amazon Prime, to include more and more perks like shipping as fast as same day for at least $35 and a cashierless checkout feature in the Walmart app. I'm all for it. Although Amazon's working on it, but Walmart has something that Amazon doesn't. Amazon has massive warehouses and distribution centers where they can fulfill orders, and they'll get it to you in 1 to 2 days, ideally. Lately, it almost seems like 4 to 5 days. But Walmart has a store every, 17 feet. They are all over the United States, and that's something that Walmart can do better than Amazon, which is again same day delivery. So they said that it will be renamed Walmart Plus and add many items you'd find in the Walmart store, including toys, electronics, household essentials like cleaners and toothpaste. There you go.
You would think you just have to go onto their website and just make a shopping cart and be like, I want that delivered. Like, why is this any different than that, and what does the $98 get you per year? If
Well,
not your Amazon video and music and all of that stuff too.
right, and that's part of the cost benefit analysis of Amazon that everyone has to kind of run through, is that Amazon has so many add-ons and so many additional features, like you said, music and movies and entertainment, Amazon gaming and so on and so forth. There's a lot of benefits that or perks that you get through this, and Walmart is going to have to come out with something very, very similar. Although, of course, Amazon I think is up to like $130 now, and this one will be just under $100 a year, or about $13 a month. So they said that they've changed the program as the ultimate life hack, they said. So the membership program should help Walmart continue its fast growth and, of course, compete with Amazon. And let's see, so...
The only competition I want to see between Amazon and Walmart involves a very large robot. I want to see them have
like a battle?
A massive robot duel to see who wins, is what
like
I want to see.
Like a duel.
Yeah. Best one wins.
So here's the problem with that, Corissa. Whoever wins is suddenly the only company in the world with a giant robot. Who's going to stop them?
You're not going to stop them anyway. What difference does it make?
Because they have giant robots. I don't like this plan at all. So, with that being said, they're saying that we're not launching Walmart Plus with the intent to compete with anything else. This is what Walmart said. We're launching it to meet the needs of our customers. Cough, cough, no. Anyways, they said that this is not the first push. Obviously, they had Jet Black program, Shipping Pass. They had Delivery Unlimited, and all this is going to be pushed to the wayside for Walmart Plus. So here we go, Chris. Here's the answer. And I know that you can get at-home delivery through Walmart, but you have to kind of go through like a third party. This will be done through Walmart themselves. Now, the perks will include faster shipping with deliveries for members of 160,000 items arriving as fast as same day at no additional cost. Orders must be $35 and the same minimum as the Delivery Unlimited. Non-members currently get a free 2-day delivery for millions of items and free same-day delivery for non-members, but only in specific zip codes. I believe those zip codes will be ones pretty darn close to Amazon warehouses or Amazon stores. In-store shoppers will still have access to Scan and Go feature that will let them use their phones to pay for the items through Walmart. And let's see, so added to that, Walmart is offering fuel discount of up to 5 pennies, 5 whole pennies per gallon at about 2,000 Walmart, Murphy USA, and Murphy Express fuel locations. I had no idea Murphy fuel locations were Walmart branded, but who knew?
Yeah, it's news to me too.
Yeah, Sam's Club stations will be added to that list soon. He added that Walmart will face an uphill battle against the subscription fatigue as shoppers already budget Prime, Costco, Spotify, Netflix, Sam's Club, and more subscriptions. Let's face it, your monthly expenses are coming out monthly, and it's all going to be subscriber. At some point, your paycheck is going to be smaller than the subscription services that you sign up for. And yeah, people are going to get tired of that. At what point do we just kind of own what we have? Or, worst case scenario, if you are, not really interested, you can still walk into Walmart and get all the same things without paying $100 a year to do it. So, yeah, the program will probably expand. We'll see what they can do. I'm curious to see if they get into any kind of deal with any streaming service, or if, let's say, Redbox, if you could stream like Redbox titles directly to your home by subscribing to Walmart. Walmart has to flesh this out, and I think right now, even with the fuel discount and the free shipping of $35 or more, that doesn't seem like it will crack the armor that is Amazon and Amazon Prime, because that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I think that something that they can add to would also be like a grocery feature because, for example, Amazon's got Whole Foods, but you can only order certain groceries through Amazon, right? However, if you go to Walmart, you can be like, okay, here's my grocery cart. You can pick up all your groceries too. So it's also, it kind of eliminates the need for like Instacart and these other, personal shopping services too. So that could be something else maybe they could expand on as well.
I know that Amazon has been working on their Amazon Pantry, which are like non-perishable goods and things like that. But yeah, I think that Walmart and food delivery and the infrastructure that they've already built up to stock all of their super Walmarts with groceries could definitely be a leg up on what Amazon is offering with Whole Foods. So yeah, they just need to play to their strengths, and hopefully at the end of the day, the consumer is the one who benefits from all this. Either that or Walmart's just going to buy out America. I don't know. Or Amazon probably will. Let's see. One more comment from the chat room. Watch show A on CBS. Watch show B on NBC. Watch show C on Fox. Only $10 a month for each. Never mind. Yeah. And what Ford in the chat room is describing there is, again, subscription fatigue, where, people don't subscribe to all 13 different streaming services. They pick one or two and then they bounce around. And, Walmart's going to have to compete with that. So everyone, music in the background means that we're done. Corissa, thank you so much for being here. And obviously we'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. So Corissa, any last words?
Nope. I'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? We'll see everyone tomorrow. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. We'll catch you next time. One more time, computeramerica.com. Check it out there. Hey, you won't regret it. Everyone, have a good day. Bye.
Bye.